So today we're gonna be talking about appropriation within the black community. What initially sparked my interest in making this video is a couple months ago, YouTube influencer and makeup mogul, I guess you could say, Jackie Aina, was under the fire for participating in a campaign that was inspired by Caribbean Carnival. And it wasn't just the fact that she was participating in it, it was that she wasn't giving credit to the origin of the festival, nor was she involved with anybody who was of Caribbean descent. And they just took off on her, rightfully so. But, it kind of made me think about, it kind of made me think about how when we have these conversations about appropriation, it's almost always, in regards to white people or non-black people. But I think that, we should examine what appropriation means, and that it is possible for, even though I'm black and you black, you could still appropriate my culture, because black people do not. I think there is in a sense, a global black culture that unites us all, and it's mostly having to do with things like hair. Hair doesn't really change, regardless of where you're from, what your nationality or your ethnicity is. So I think in that regard, we do have a global black culture, but we have different ethnicities, we have different cultures, we have different nationalities that make us all different. So I do think that it is a bit naive to think that because I'm black and you black, that you can't appropriate my culture or I can't appropriate your culture. And so I just think that's false. I think that Jackie should have known better. Her whole brand is kind of built around this, how do I put it, this social justice kind of thing, where she talks about things that are socially relevant, especially to people of color and black people specifically. So I thought it was pretty tone deaf of her to, essentially, she made an Instagram post and was just talking about, it was in a carnival costume. Anybody who knows what carnival is, it's a Caribbean festival that originated in Trinidad and Tobago. So she had on the little, I don't know what you call them costumes, but a lot of them are two-piece costumes with bees and these big vibrant feathers and whatnot. And so she posted that on Instagram and said something to the effect she was inspired by Nigeria Carnival or something like that. And the whole campaign, the brand that she was working with is a what do you call it, a British Nigerian brand. So it was nobody involved was of Caribbean descent, so they took off. So, and I feel they were justified in doing so, because Jackie should have known better, point blank, period. So yeah, I think later on she kind of cleaned it up and invited some Caribbean influencers to participate in it or something along the effects of that. But it was she should have known better. That's just how I feel about that situation. But as I was saying, it's for some reason, I don't know why we pick and choose when we do this thing where it's well, you could do it. You could take that from me because you look like me, but I just don't think that's right. And more recently, we had Juneteenth take place in the United States. And I just thought that everything I saw on Twitter, it was just very interesting, because people kind of tried to, I guess, make it into this global black celebration, to represent all blackness and power to the people, instead of centering black Americans, and specifically black Americans from Texas, who are the originators of the celebration. So everybody of any nationality was just dropping their cash apps, and it was just blickety black this, and black people, celebrate yourself today and take a spa day. And I just thought it was really performative and just tone deaf and ignorant of the history and the culture surrounded around Juneteenth. So it's just in my personal opinion, for some people, when black Americans do something, they take it as something for all black people. But when it comes to, other nationalities that may not be as hyper visible as us, then it's outrage. So I do think that, the same people that was on Jackie's tail should have examined themselves and said, hey, is this something that's of my culture? Just because, it's getting international attention. Is Juneteenth something that's a part of my background? Is it something um, that's for all black people, everybody of black descent, are all descendants of slaves? Is this something that's global for everybody, or is it something that's been over a century for black Americans, a celebration of, a culture, a celebration of freedom? So that's another thing that I thought, people should consider when we talk about, just cultural appropriation within our community. Now, to get back to the Jackie subject, I just feel like, okay, at first I didn't even know Jackie was half black American. I thought she was just straight up Nigerian. Apparently her father is Nigerian and her mother is a black American. When she was getting dragged, she was getting dragged as a black American, which I thought is interesting, seeing as though she tried to make the connection to Carnival to Nigeria, which was very ignorant of her. But I just found it funny how, people associated appropriation with black Americans rather than just saying, okay, well, Jackie, she's a Nigerian, she's trying to appropriate this as a Nigerian. And I'm not trying to get, Nigerians attacked or anything, but I just feel like that's the culture that she represents the most. That's who she presents herself as. So, and that's who she was trying to make the connection to, wrongly make the connection to, because apparently Nigeria's carnival did not even start until 2004. Now, obviously, carnival has its origins in African tradition because we are descendants from Africa. The people in Trinidad are descendants of African slaves. So it's like, obviously some things are African inspired, but it kind of, it took a life of its own, and it's its own thing outside of, our African heritage. So even though, some like the masquerading traditions and stuff might have inspired carnival, it's still undeniably a Trinidad and Tobago thing. Like, that's where it started. I think all around the world, black people have different carnival celebrations. That's not what I'm saying, because, definitely even in the United States, Mardi Gras is carnival per se, Pinkster, which is the oldest African American celebration of the country, is essentially a carnival by definition. But obviously, it's surrounded around different cultural elements than the one in the Caribbean. So I just feel like Jackie knew better. Like, it didn't make no sense for her to just get out there and just be like, oh, I'm doing this Caribbean themed campaign and I'm inspired by Nigeria Carnival. I just thought it wasn't genuine, and she knew better than that. So yeah. Now, to dig a little bit deeper into the thought of appropriation, now, like I said, Carnival originated in Trinidad and Tobago. In the Caribbean, everybody had their own cultural celebrations, just like Barbados had crop over and stuff like that. But essentially, most islands in the Caribbean modeled their celebrations after the one in Trinidad and Tobago. That's why they say that it originated in Trinidad and Tobago, right? The music, soca and calypso, even some of the costumes and stuff like that all come from Trinidad. And people modeled what they was doing in Trinidad, and then they brought it to their home countries. I don't know, for different reasons, maybe because they wanted to increase tourism, or because they just enjoyed the time they had and they wanted to bring that to their country, whatever. But if you talking about the definition of appropriation, then you could say that even within the Caribbean it's appropriation, because Barbados crop over looks like Trinidad and Tobago carnival. It has the same music from there, the same setup, the same. They got a form of juve and all that stuff like that. That's still appropriation, because it's not like they going to Trinidad and participating in it. They taking it to their country and they putting it into their culture and then saying that this is my culture. That's a form of appropriation. Now, whether in the Caribbean, I know they united or whatever, and they have similar cultures or whatever, so they might just say, okay, well, we all Caribbean, it don't matter. But it's the same concept. Just because y'all Caribbean don't mean that person can't appropriate something from you. Yeah, you may be black, she may be black, but that's still a form of appropriation. So like I said, I think we pick and choose when we want to say who's appropriating my culture and who's not. Like, I think that if it's somebody that's, you know, a bit more hyper visible, or somebody that you just don't like or something like that, a group of people that you just don't like, then you'll say, oh, well, then y'all appropriating this and da 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 da. But do you call it appropriation when it's somebody who might be similar to you, a similar background, you know, whatever? You know, in my experience, in my personal research, I ain't never heard nobody from Trinidad say that other islands appropriated carnival from them. So I'm not trying to start nothing in that regard, but if you look at what appropriation is, then they have a valid claim if they want to say that other islands appropriated their culture from them, regardless of if y'all are Caribbean. You know, y'all not all the same. Y'all had different experiences through slavery, through whatever, you know. So it's like, where do we draw the line as Black people? Where do we say, okay, this is mine, you can participate, you can come to Carnival, you can come to Juve, you can come to, you can listen to my music, but you should not profit off of it. At what point do you say that? And vice versa. You can listen to my music, you can dance to my music, I can have you over, we can party, I can bring you into my culture, I can let you experience it, I can show it to you, but this is mine. This belongs to me and my people. This is who we are. This is not for you to make money off of. This is not for you to have a campaign on and then, you know, try to sell products to people who don't even know the origin of the celebration. That's a valid claim, I feel like. You know what I'm saying? So while I think people are justified in dragging people who appropriate their culture, I think if y'all gonna keep doing that, then y'all gotta, you know, y'all gotta be able to keep that same energy with everybody who do it. You just can't say, well, I like y'all over there, so y'all can have a little bit of that. You know what I mean? You gotta keep the same energy. That's all I'm saying. So I just kind of wanted to say my piece on that. It was kind of rolling around in my mind for a few months, and Juneteenth kind of triggered it. Right now, actually, I noticed that people are kind of putting Beyonce under fire for like what she got going on, and I don't think she can run away from that claim of appropriation that people are putting on her or whatever. Because it's like, I love Beyonce dearly, but I do think she, you know, kind of takes a little bit of this from Africa, a little bit of this from, you know, whatever, and puts it into her project. And she does it because I think she just loves Blackness so much, regardless of where it's from, that she don't recognize that, hey, this is not mine to use. You know what I'm saying? Even if I am giving credit to the origin, I don't know if she doesn't have the right to say that it's okay to profit off of. That's what I'm saying. So I think that the critiques on Beyonce are valid, but at the same time, I don't think people keep that same energy with other celebrities. You know, I think Beyonce gets the most dragons when it comes to cultural appropriation, mainly because she does, you know, and it does annoy me sometimes because I feel like she overdo it sometimes with just like the whole, you know, Africanist and Pan-African, Afrocentric stuff like that. Like, yeah, you're a person of African descent, but you have to look into your own culture and see what survived that comes from there, rather than just saying, oh, I'm gonna take this from South Africa and I did a DNA test and my ancestry results said Nigeria, so then I'm gonna go over there and then no, you just can't. It don't work like that. That's just how I feel. It don't work like that. People have a valid claim in dragging her. She is not above any criticism or critique. So like I said, you know, this is just a conversation. I don't know, we have to have a platform for us to sit down and talk about this as a diaspora, or everybody can just continue what they're doing and just continue the pointless diaspora wars. That's all I've been seeing. It's just constant bickering and this and that and so on and so forth. So I kind of just wanted to say my piece on that. Something else I wanted to say. Oh yeah, while I'm on the subject, I did another video on the Black American Heritage flag a couple months ago. Y'all can look at my videos and see the other video I did. But I went ahead and I got a different one. I got a different flag that more resembles the original flag, the original design. Because the one I got, The one I got, it's kind of like a knockoff version of it, and so I was able to find a graphic that somebody made that resembles the original one more closely, and so I got that made. I should have got it bigger, but you know, it's whatever. I got the 2x3 or the 3x2. Should have got a bigger one, but yeah, I just wanted to show y'all this, that I did go ahead and get another one, and I did finish the book. I told y'all I had got my hands on the book about the creation of the flag and the history behind it. It's a very interesting book. Obviously, it's not about the flag. Like, the whole book is not about the flag. Like, it talks about the civil rights movement because it was created in 1967. So it talks about everything: the death of Martin Luther King, the civil rights movement, the author's experience with like networking and dealing with, you know, the black organizations at that time and stuff like that, and just like the whole process of trying to get this flag recognized within the black American community. Unfortunately, the creator, the designer of the flag, and the dude who wrote this book passed away in 2017, and he did not get to witness the flag become a known symbol within our community. It's definitely picking up traction, you know, within the recent year. I have noticed it, and even myself, that's how I discovered it, because it started, you know, swirling around and stuff like that. So I do think we might be on the path to this, because but right now a lot of people are kind of confused as to what's what. I see a lot of people use the red, black, and green flag, as I said in the previous video, as the flag for Black Americans, which is just not true. But at the same time, so if you don't know about it, then how can you know that this is the Black American Heritage flag, or that we have the red, white, and blue Juneteenth flag? Like, unless you do the research, or unless the information is presented to you, you will not know that this exists. So that's something we have to work on better in our community, but I feel like that's a whole nother video. So I just want to tell y'all that right quick, and I am going to go ahead and close this video out. Once again, thank you so much for watching me, and I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you.